In this video, we're going to talk about the stimulus check and the stimulus package update for August the 18th. Where is your check and what's holding it up? But before we do, if this is your first time at our channel or you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button at the bottom. My name is Travis Sickle, Certified Financial Planner, helping you reach your financial goals. There is a shift in the focus on the stimulus package, and it has a lot to do with the next election. That focus was originally on the $1 trillion proposal from the Democrats on state and local funding. But now that shift is moving towards funding the U.S. Postal Service so they can deliver mail. Now, yesterday, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said that the Postal Service is going to be just fine. We're going to make sure that the ability to function going into the election is not adversely affected, and I don't share the same concerns that the president has mentioned. And President Trump's view on the post office is that it's mismanaged and that it is not doing that well. And as a result, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said that there will be a vote this coming Saturday to introduce a bill to give the U.S. Post Office $25 billion. And with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi calling back members of the House to come back from their August recess, it struck me as kind of funny that they actually call it a recess, because most people envision a summer recess or an August recess as going to the beach or sitting by the pool and not actually doing any work. And I've heard other people defend the term recess, saying that it's not really a recess, it's just the politicians going back to their constituents. So actually on the Senate's website at Senate.gov, they actually have a page dedicated to the August recess, and it came about in 1970. Finally facing the reality of year-long sessions, Congress mandated a summer break as part of a legislative reorganization act. Today, August recess continues to be a regular feature of the Senate schedule, a chance for senators to spend time with family, meet with constituents in their home states, and catch up on summer reading. Now, I don't know if the House has a similar page, but I just found that interesting because it's probably not a good political look to still have this page up and calling it the August recess to catch up on some summer reading. And in addition to the $25 billion that's being proposed in the bill this coming Saturday, there was another bill that was already proposed called the Delivering for Americans Act. And this was originally presented by Congresswoman Maloney to protect delivery standards for the U.S. Postal Service. And the backstory on this, on July 10th, 2020, an internal post office memo directed employees to leave mail behind at distribution centers and to significantly curtail overtime, undermining long-established organizational norms that have ensured the timely distribution of mail for decades. And then again on August the 7th, 2020, a memo detailing the restructuring of the post office revealed the reassignment of 23 postal executives in an overhaul that analysts warn de-emphasizes decades worth of institutional postal knowledge and centralizes power around DeJoy. The restructure has proposed a hiring freeze, early retirement, unit realignments, and regional downscaling. And in response to those memos, Chairwoman Maloney said, "Our postal service should not become an instrument of partisan politics, but instead must protect as a neutral, independent entity that focuses on one thing and one thing only, delivering the mail. Millions of people rely on the Postal Service every day to communicate, to access critical medications, and to vote. At this juncture, our nation's history, when the number of Americans voting by mail for this presidential election is expected to more than double from the last, Congress must protect the right of all eligible citizens to have their vote counted. A once-in-a-century pandemic is no time to enact changes that threaten service, reliability, and transportation. The Delivering for America Act would reserve these changes so the fundamental American service can continue unimpeded." And that's exactly what this bill holds. It is basically saying that the U.S. Postal Service can't change anything. So between the memo and what Chairwoman Maloney is saying is that the post office is being intentionally impeded in order to prevent people from voting by mail during the upcoming election. Now, the act, the Delivering for America Act, is saying that the post office has to deliver prompt and reliable postal service during the COVID-19 pandemic. And all it's really targeting is to get the post office through the election, because it's saying that during the period beginning on the date of enactment of this act and ending on the last day of the COVID-19 public health emergency or January 1st, 2021, whichever is later, the United States Postal Service may not implement or approve any change to the operations or the level of service provided by the Postal Service from those in effect on January 1st, 2020. So that was already what's in effect. They're trying to go back to January 1st and says you can't change anything from January 1st, 2020, which was already set in stone. So you can't go back and change absolutely anything. And it's saying that there can't be any change in the nature of the Postal Service, any revisions of service standards, any closures or consolidation of any post office or reduction of facility hours, including any prohibition, meaning you can't stop any payments of overtime pay to the Postal Service officers or employees, and any changes that would prevent the Postal Service from meeting its service standards or cause a decline in measurements of performance relative to those service standards. And of course, any change that would have any effect on the delay of mail, allowing for the non-delivery of mail to a delivery route or increasing the volume of undelivered mail. Again, in direct response to those memos. And while there is a shift on the focus to the post office for the upcoming election, the stimulus checks are still on the table. And last Friday, President Trump tweeted, "I have directed Steven Mnuchin 1 to get ready to send direct payments, the $3,400 for family of 4 to all Americans. Democrats are holding this up." And that $3,400 comes from a family of 4, which would be $1,200 per individual and an additional $500 per child. So $2,400 for the 2 parents and the 2 children, or a total of $1,000. And that's how they get to the $3,400. And as I talked about on a previous video, the IRS is reopening the ability for you to claim your $500 per child if you didn't get your economic impact payment, also known as the stimulus check. And that is going to be open until September 30th. And that September 30th date is for those receiving Social Security, SSI, Railroad Retirement Benefits, or VA benefits. Other non-filers can still get their payments, but they have until October the 15th in order to get and claim their stimulus checks. And there are 2 interesting charts that I want to show you really quickly about the health of the economy and what history has shown us. The first one is from the Wall Street Journal, and it's showing the S&P 500 companies' revenue for 2020's second quarter change from a year ago. And in the red is the decliners, which is significantly more, visually you can see this, from the gainers. But as I also showed in yesterday's video, the report that shows recoveries after declines in the stock market. And from the stock market, from a price perspective, the market has improved, but that's the stock market and not the economy. And as you can see right here, the quick downturn earlier this year was quickly reversed, going back up sharply. And as you can see from history, even with declines in the market, there is way more upside than there is downside in the market. And that's not to say that whether or not you should be in the market at this point, it's just showing you what the stock market versus the actual economy and how there is a huge difference between the two. Or as Warren Buffett would say, price is what you pay, value is what you get. And that is the update for August the 18th on the second stimulus check and the stimulus package. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and leave your comments down at the bottom.